When you decide you want to get smarter, the advice you find online is, well, it's usually pretty frustrating, right? It's either these vague brain hacks or these super long term plans that take forever. It can feel like you're just spinning your wheels. But what if I told you becoming smart isn't about that slow, painful grind? What if it's actually way easier than we think? Yeah, that's a little harsh, but you get the point, right? We're sold this idea that intelligence is something you get at the end of this crazy long, super expensive assembly line. But this quote kind of highlights the problem. That path doesn't always work out. It's built on a misunderstanding of what being smart even is. So let's look at a much better way to go about this. So, where does all the common advice go wrong? Well, it turns out that most of it falls into one of two camps. And honestly, both of them completely miss the mark on what it really takes to learn something and make it stick. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the vague stuff you see all over the internet. Eat more blueberries, listen to Mozart, get 8 hours of sleep. And look, those things aren't bad for you, but they're just tweaks. The real method, the one that actually truly works, it's right there. Actually learn stuff and then use it. That's it. That's the whole game. Okay, so if the first part of the real method is to learn stuff, what's our best tool for the job? It's not some fancy new app, it's not some secret technique, it's good old-fashioned reading. But here's the twist. It's not just about what you read. The magic is in what you do with that knowledge right after you learn it. So what should be on your reading list? Well, it turns out both fiction and nonfiction have their own kind of superpowers. Fiction is basically a gym for your brain. It makes you a faster reader, it beefs up your vocabulary. And nonfiction? That's your toolbox. It gives you the raw materials, the cool facts and ideas that you can use in conversations or to build new skills. But again, the real key is how you use that stuff. And this right here, this is the perfect example of how not to do it. We all know this person, don't we? The person who's just waiting to jump into a conversation with a, well, actually, it doesn't make you sound smart. Honestly, it just makes you sound obnoxious, and it completely kills the vibe of the conversation. Now look at this. It's the exact same piece of information, but the delivery is totally different. Instead of correcting someone, you're sharing an interesting idea. You start with, "It is crazy, right?" And then you bring them into the discovery with you. This is the secret sauce. You come across as both smart and like someone people actually enjoy talking to. It's all about sharing, not showing off. All right, this next part, this is the absolute core of everything we're talking about. The golden rule is dead simple. You have to use it. Think of your brain as a super efficient, kind of lazy assistant. It's not going to waste precious space storing information it thinks is useless. If you don't give your brain a reason to hang on to something, it'll just toss it out. And the learning curve shows this perfectly. See that really steep climb at the very beginning? That massive jump in skill doesn't come from just reading about something. It comes from that first little bit of practice. The payoff for that tiny initial effort is huge. The main takeaway? You've got to actually do the thing. And here's why that first bit of practice is just so powerful. It's the 80-20 rule in action. You don't need to know everything to be good at something. With just 20% of the most important knowledge, you can often get 80% of the results. All of a sudden, learning a new skill doesn't seem so intimidating, does it? So, how do you make this knowledge actually stick? It's a simple two-step loop. Step 1, you learn something. Let's say you read a chapter in a book about how to properly clean a bedroom. Then, step 2, you immediately get up and go clean a bedroom. By doing that, you're sending a direct message to your brain that says, hey, this info was just used. It's important. Keep it around. Okay, that's a fair question. The cleaning example is easy, but what about knowledge you can't immediately put into practice? Like, what if you're reading about how to jumpstart a car, but you don't happen to have 2 cars and a dead battery just sitting in your driveway? The answer is actually pretty cool. You just practice it in your mind. This is an incredibly powerful tool. So, you've just read how to jumpstart a car. Now, you close your eyes and you actually live it. You visualize popping the hood. You feel yourself connecting the red cable to the positive terminal, then the black one. You hear the engine turning over. That mental run-through is so vivid, it's enough to convince your brain that you've actually used the information. And if you stop and think about it, this is exactly what school tests are. A test is nothing more than a high-stakes, imaginary situation designed to force your brain to believe that all this random information is useful. And, it works for a little while.
The problem is, the second that test is over, your brain gets the signal, okay, crisis averted, time to dump all this useless info, and poof, it's gone.
So, if simulation is the name of the game, what's the best possible tool for it? Well, it turns out there's one format that's basically been engineered from the ground up to help you get smart fast.
Just take a look at this comparison. Look, we all love YouTube videos, they're great, but let's be real, they're usually low on information density and have zero built-in practice. A textbook, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's packed with dense information and, this is the most important part, it comes with practice questions. They might not be as flashy, but they are literally designed to make you learn and remember.
And that's really at the bottom line. Those practice questions at the end of a chapter, they aren't just there to check your work. They are the simulation. Every single question forces your brain to go find that piece of information and then apply it, which sends the strongest possible signal. This is important. Keep this. So at the end of the day, learning isn't a passive thing you do. It's an action. The real question isn't just, what am I going to learn next? It's, how am I going to use it? So what piece of knowledge are you going to go out and make useful today?